He's Trump's former White House chief strategist and the co-host of the War Room Impeachment and War Room Pandemic podcasts. Steve Bannon has agreed to come by again. Brave man, Steve. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for being polite. Okay, Steve, so look, I'm not going to lie about it. Your boy had the best week so far, don't you think?
Well, his last 2 weeks. I think you see the culmination.
All right, I admitted it. Don't gloat.
No, but I think this shows you the actions he's been taking the entire time. It's not just the impeachment. It's the Middle East peace plan. It's what he's doing on opioids. It's USMCA. It's Brexit. One action after another.
Okay, but Steve, as a student of history, which I know you are, nothing this week bothered you? Like yesterday when we find out now that he's, you know, the thing he said about Comey, we'll see what happens. If it was Obama, people would be in jail. Vindeman gets frog-marched out. Mitt Romney is a suppressive person. This is very von Stauffenberg, isn't it, after the coup failed? No. You don't think it's an enemies list kind of situation that doesn't make you a little nervous? You trust him with that power?
No, absolutely. In fact, here's what I've argued from day one. We should have had a longer impeachment. We should have had Bolton. You should have had Mulvaney. You should have had all the OMB memos.
Witnesses.
Let them get crossed. But we get the whistleblower. We get the second whistleblower. We get Schiff as a fact witness. Let's get it all out. If this is not, and Trump says this, it's just not about Trump. This is about going forward the office of the president. If Bernie gets in and you're his advisor, trust me, the same thing's going to happen. If you think the neoliberal, neocon, national security apparatus is just going to sit there and let Bernie as commander-in-chief make the decisions that he's empowered to as commander-in-chief, they're going to fight him every step of the way, and that's why this thing has to be vetted. The abuses of the FBI and the CIA in the 50s and 60s culminated in the Church Commission in the 70s. That's what we need today. I think the Senate Judiciary Committee ought to start calling witnesses. We got to get to the bottom of the 40 subpoenas that were out there by the House Intel. We've got to he ought to declassify this, Crossfire Hurricane, and let Bolton, let Mulvaney, let them all talk. Let's get all the emails out there. Let's see the whole thing.
Okay, when you say Crossfire Hurricane, the liberal audience doesn't have the decoder ring for that one. That's just Fox News. Yeah, I know.
It's an FBI. It's the FBI.
I know.
Right. But no, if they don't know it, they shouldn't.
Steve.
Listen, this is about civil liberties. This is about protecting the office of the president. Your audience should know that, and that's why it's got to be official apparatus.
Okay, Steve, I can't even. But let's go back to history, because he used words like scum, horrible people, evil people.
He has a different house style.
Okay,
but he's right on.
But we've seen, excuse me, we've seen this house style before. When you talk about people like that, when you're a cult leader like that who has millions of people, wait a second, he has millions of people who would obviously do anything for him, and now we only have loyalists in the government. Okay, so when
that's not true.
Well,
that's where people were terminated today. Many of the people on that list,
because they're just not loyalists, they're good people.
No, it's not loyalists. Remember, a commander-in-chief has the rights. The whistleblower and other guys like that were on the list that people that worked around me put together in April of 2017. Steve. These detailees, a commander-in-chief, whether it's Bernie Sanders, AOC, or Donald Trump, have the right to have people around them that believe in their policies and their program. It's not about loyalty.
Okay, these are people who we didn't even know existed. They were deep state people. Deep state meaning competent people who actually make the government work, who are nonpartisan.
I'm not a believer in the deep state.
Steve, let me get to question 2.
Okay.
Because we only have so much time. Okay. We've seen this in other countries. When you talk about people like they're scum and they're evil, we've seen it in Rwanda, cockroaches. We've seen it in Germany, vermin. You don't think that when you talk about people like that, your side, the people who hear those words, you don't think eventually it translates into action? They see people on our side as less than worth...
No. Absolutely not.
Why? Because we have the precedents I just mentioned. Why is it not like it?
You don't see
cockroaches, scum,
vermin? Listen, you'll see
not the same.
You don't see any actions of the deplorables or people doing that. Listen, for the last 3 years, Nancy Pelosi and the Democratic Party have sat there and said we have to protect the country. Donald Trump's a clear and present danger against Russian oligarchs. The Democratic Party today is looking to be saved by an oligarch. This thing is total hypocrisy.
Talking about Bloomberg.
I'm talking about Bloomberg, an American, a moderate Republican
very
mayor,
rich guy.
$71 billion.
Yes, I agree.
A super rich guy. Right. And he's going to put billions of dollars to destroy Donald Trump. So the
run against him.
He's not running against him.
He's not running against him. What is he doing?
It's a leverage bout of the Democratic Party. He's already said, I will put $2 billion of capital in back of any candidate to defeat Trump.
Okay, one side always has more money than the other.
This is not about more money.
It's not about more money because the last time Trump had way less money and he won.
Absolutely.
Sort of.
You know why? Because Trump...
All right, but...
Hold on. It's that mentality that has you in this place today. And the place today is Trump is about to run the tables. You have a totally divided Democratic Party.
I agree with that.
No, because nobody sat there after 2016 and said, why did we lose? The same arrogance you saw in the people in Brooklyn that would not send Hillary Clinton to Michigan. Remember, Michael Moore always makes the point, I think there's 70,000 down-ticket votes in Michigan that didn't vote for a president. The reason is Trump reached out to these working-class people and connected with them, okay? And Clinton, it's the same arrogance you see in Iowa about this app.
Yes, there is that. But we mostly lose because a senator in Wyoming represents 290,000 people, and a senator here represents 20 million. That's mostly why we lose. The Electoral College.
No, it's called a republic, sir.
It's called a republic with a very flawed foundation. Is it really democratic for one person to
This is what I love about you guys. You've got to whine about everything.
Whine?
The game is, it's match play, not medal play.
No,
win it match play.
I understand what the rules
Show me
are.
you could win. No, you know what the rules are and you can't win.
You're right.
You've had
You're right. You're
Bill,
right. Hillary should have gone to Wisconsin because it's an electoral college game. I've admitted that many times. That's not the point. You said, why do you win? You win because the game is rigged for you. I get it.
Absolutely not. It is absolutely not.
The electoral college. Okay. All right, Steve.
Hold it. I know. With this attitude, the beauty, we're going to keep winning. We're going to keep winning. I love this.
I know you do. I know you do.
How can you sit here? How can you sit here and have an oligarch, a Republican oligarch, that is going to be the salvation of the Democratic Party? Okay, it's outrageous. You guys have screwed. Okay. Well, Bernie's been screwed by the Democratic Party. Look at the last week. They wouldn't allow the poll to be released where he was up 4. Okay, then they do this thing as soon as the whole debacle about the count. As soon as he starts closing in, the Democratic Party says, hey, let's have a recanvass. Okay? Bernie voters are to do what they did in 2016. Right. We've had a belly full of the Clintons come either don't vote or come vote for Trump.
I understand why you're against Bernie. Yes, I mean he has too much social.
I like Bernie.
Really, you want socialism in
America? No. He's a populist.
Right. He's a socialist.
I don't agree. I don't agree with his solutions. I think a lot of.
That's kind of a big part of politics.
No. The biggest part. One of the biggest parts is identifying the problem. I think Bernie's identified the problem. We just
Trump
have
and him
solutions.
shared some voters because they both kind of go after the same problem. You're right.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm just saying
the Bernie people are help make Trump president.
But you don't
want. They're going to
want
help make him president again.
Even I don't want that.
By the Democratic Party.
Even I don't want that amount of socialism. I agree we need, well, not agree, I think we need some amount of socialism. I call it capitalism plus. We already have a lot of socialism. But
we don't have a good form of capitalism right now. We have oligarchs and serfs.
That's true.
The millennials are like Russian serfs. They don't own anything, and they're not going to own anything. We have to redefine that. That's the central part that we have to do.
But whose policies are responsible for that? This bait and switch you guys pull all the time. Just let me say one thing. It is a bait. Of course it is.
No.
Wait a second. Wait, just let me say one thing. Just let me say one thing.
Please spare me. The Democratic Party is owned by Wall Street and the corporate interests. Look what they're doing to Bernie every day.
Oh, God forbid the corporate ever get their tentacles into the Republican Party. That would be a bad day. Okay, but let me ask you this. Who's the real...
We had 4 years to solve this problem, and now you're divided.
Who's the real socialist? Trump's bailout of the farmers, $28 billion. Obama's bailout of the auto industry was $12 billion. Why is it socialism when Obama does it, but not when Trump does it? And why is... Trump has run up a much bigger debt, much bigger deficits than Obama when the Tea Party was out there. What happened to that? Why? So I think that the solution to the rising debt is a white president.
Excuse me?
I think the solution to the rising debt is a white president because it was a terrible problem when Obama was president, and now it is no problem at all.
When did the Democrats get interested in deficits or debt? If you look at the modern monetary theory that underpins Warren, underpins Bernie, underpins AOC.
But Trump's doing worse at it.
You guys are looking at quantitative.
Trump's doing worse at it. Trump's doing worse at it.
But here's the point. Hang on.
With no with no protestation from the right. Where's
the growth over time is going to bring down the deficits.
the growth over time.
And pay.
I've been hearing about that since I Dream of Jeannie was on the air.
And pay for these tax cuts. And pay for these tax cuts.
Oh my God!
But you guys are always trying to change the topic. Let's get down to the basics.
You taught Trump all these tricks, like to always turn it right around. Yes, you did.
No,
I know you
had
did.
him long before
you taught him a
me.
lot. You taught him the word populist. Ha ha ha. You know, people who are against elites, like he's.
Well, look at the Democratic Party's done to the populists. Look what
just
they've
a light remark.
Look what they've done to the populists. Though.
Steve, let me ask you this question.
Yes, sir.
I read today some of the things that he said about you over the years. Just scathing. I mean, like, you know, the word dog figures into a lot of them. And we see this.
Look, I come from an Irish Catholic family with 5 kids. I've been called a lot worse around the dinner table.
Okay, but this is the
what
guy.
He has to say, it's the signal and the noise.
But
that's all the noise. Okay?
Really?
Look at the signal. Look at the signal of what he's done. He's
Is that
accomplished.
what because he does this constantly to people. He just says the worst things about him, and they come back and eat his dog bowl.
No.
Why do they do?
Because he's a transformative figure.
I see.
And historic.
Well, he
president.
is that. He is that. We're going right into dictatorship.
No.
It's a very it's
This
transformative.
is why the progressive left in 18 won a big victory, because you went door to door. They understand that Donald Trump, between changing the federal judiciary, deconstructing the administrative state, is going to be in their personal lives 10, 20, and 30 years from now. That is why the left goes door to door to beat him. And he's achieving his objectives. He said, now comes the hour of action in his inaugural address, and you see the actions coming together. And that's why we're sitting in February of 2020. He's united his party. He's got the economy on his side. And
it's his best week ever. That's what I said. Okay, I wish we had someone on our side as evil as you, Steve. It's great to see you. Thank you for doing this. Steve Bannon. You can't get him down.